Good evening, welcome along. We're back for another Soulful House Mafia Tuesday evening, live and direct. I'm in Spain, talking to my friends over in the UK. Every Tuesday night, 7 o'clock for you guys. We are discussing all things Soulful House amongst a small network of boys and girls who grew to become some of the main players on the scene. And every couple of weeks, we're going to be doing our very best to find out the backstories and just having a little bit of a chinwag. With me tonight, I am so happy to welcome along Mr. Craig Bartlett, Mark Hogg and Jamie Scahill, these two guys at the bottom of your screen, otherwise known as the Slammin Boys. Welcome along, guys. How are you?
Good evening. Very good, thank you.
Thank you for joining us, and welcome back, Craig. We have a little hijacker, not a hijacker, a stowaway. Who's that on your lap? Introduce the world.
This is Asbo, the little Mexican gangster stowaway. Who's busily chewing. My wife Ellen, bless her, who would love to have said hello to you boys, she's just had a second jab and she's really not well, so she's in bed. So she would have been looking after this 11-week-old little bundle of joy. So he's going to be saying hello and talking about all things South American in the house with us.
Well, you could have took the laptop upstairs in the bedroom and you could have done it up there with her.
Yeah.
Yeah, while she's a sweaty mess, moaning and groaning.
Well, is there a big chihuahua scene in Mexico? Is it a big scene down there? Yeah.
In Mexico, yeah, it's fantastic.
So we want to say hi to everyone that's with us live, and also a lot of people who always come back and watch the recording. Make yourselves known. Feel free to leave a shout. We can see the comments, and we'll get around to answering them. Bob Povey's here, nice and early, sending a big shout out to Bob and the rest,
Bob. Yes, Bob.
The South Coast family. So I always start off the same way, guys, because there's no way we're going to get your life stories. We're not going to get the full intro as to how you got into the scene. So I'll come to you first, Mark, and I will ask you to pinpoint a pivotal moment that you feel was important in the resurgence or the growth of the Soulful House scene in Manchester.
Well, obviously Manchester's always been aligned with Hacienda, with other few big events going on, obviously now to this day, Park Life, Warehouse project, stuff like that. But I would say probably it was when the Hacienda started booking more US house guests, Todd Terry, David Morales, Frankie Knuckles, God bless his soul, people like that. And that opened it up. Obviously the sound kind of changed, and it was, no disrespect to the residents by any means. They were championing that sound anyway, but they just brought a little bit more soulful edge to it. Mm-hmm. And I was obviously shopping at the time, and Jamie was serving me records, and I was fortunate for Jamie to be saying, "Oh, we've had this in this morning, have a listen to this." So I'd say that was kind of how it kind of moved on for me, kind of thing. Definitely was the guests at the Hacienda, and then other clubs started opening, and then obviously we got our opportunity to work together. Jamie and I, we did a couple of our own nights under the Groovalicious banner. And then we started doing the back room on Saturdays at Home Nightclub.
Okay.
Which the whole Slammin Boys, whatever you brand you want to call it, was kind of born, kind of thing.
Okay, so Jamie, Mark mentioned about yourself working in the record store. When did you start? Remind me, because I mentioned it. Was it Manchester Underground or am I talking?
Manchester Underground, yeah, Manchester Underground. So I kind of bunked off from a job. I left school and did it was an all right job. It was like fixing speakers in places, but I didn't really like it. And I met Russ, who was managing Manchester Underground, just buying records in there myself. And he said, "Oh, do you want to work on some Saturdays?" So I started working Saturdays, and then started phoning in sick from my old job on a Wednesday to work there. And that, they soon got kind of wind of what I was doing and kind of sacked me. And then Russ gave me a full-time job when I was kind of like 17, something like that. So,
okay, so what put a timestamp on that? What year would that have been?
We don't talk about that.
30 years, 30 years ago, whatever that is. Yeah. 91, something like that.
We're talking 1991.
1991. Yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ. That's ridiculous, isn't it?
You don't look old enough.
Yeah, I know. So I kind of just got into that, and then just met loads of DJs, like Mark was saying, the Hacienda, was kind of going, you know, there was loads of people coming in all the time, and that was my education for, you know, 2 or 3 years, day in, day out. I just lived and breathed it. You know, there was never a day where you got up in the morning, you didn't want to go to work. You got there, you know, early. There was new tunes coming in, people on the phone. We were doing kind of mail order by fax and all stuff like that. It was mad. And then, you know, I met kind of Mark. Mark was buying records from there. Obviously gave him all the best stuff. Yeah, we just kind of got together and, you know, hit it off really. Mark was doing the same thing, going to Hacienda, going out and everything. And then, you know, we found we had the same love of music really, and just kind of said, oh, do you want to do something? And it just went from there. And, you know, I mean, a lot of the stuff in Manchester Underground was, you know, in that time as well, it wasn't, you know, that true soulful stuff, but there was, you know, a lot of funk and soul stuff as well as the kind of 4/4 stuff. So it was kind of all mixed up a little bit. And that's the same with like Conspiracy Club, which was in Manchester, which was like 3 doors down from Manchester Underground. That was kind of the proper underground kind of night, you know, versus a Hacienda. And that was kind of a, you know, a bit rough around the edges, but still decent music. So there was a lot of that going on really.
Okay.
And it just grew from there. Yeah.
So tell us then, Mark, very diplomatically said no disrespect to the residents at the Hacienda. And we all know what you're talking about. It's the same up and down the breadth of the country. Some of the biggest DJs were playing what they would have called a soulful sound, but to us it probably wasn't that soulful as it progressed. So who would you have said some of the DJs who were bang on the money for you guys around the early to mid 90s, who you would said UK DJs were nailing it in the north?
Graham Park, Russ, obviously, Pickering was good at it. Des Marshall, who had a lot of influence on my career. A guy called Steve Brooks, another guy who's now lives in America, Nick Arojo, who's a resident at Hacienda, who kind of took me under his wing and nurtured me. Guys over in Leeds, obviously, Lee Wright, and the other Andy Ward. He was kind of playing a bit of a soulful sound for the other guys. You had a chat with him the other week, if I remember right. Is that right?
Yeah.
Andy Ward meets Andy Ward.
Yeah, it was good fun actually. It was really good fun. I was surprised to hear that he played as soulful as he did.
Yeah, and then going further north, you know, the guys from the northeast, you know, there's a number of them guys up there.
Mm-hmm.
Names, a couple of names escape me if you will help me out there.
Scott and Scooby.
Steve Butler as well.
Steve Butler,
of course. Well, I think it is important to say, because a lot of people will be coming and going and checking out these. We're not trying to be the encyclopedia here. We are definitely going to forget names, and we make no apologies for that. And over the course of the weeks, all of these guys are going to be invited to come and join us. So if you feel that there's someone that we've missed out, or if you feel you've been missed out, then do get in touch with me and we'll invite you on. Mark just gave us a few names. Same for yourself, Jamie, or any others further afield?
To be honest, it's pretty blurry. You know, it was kind of it was about the music for me rather than the DJs. You know, because you're in the shop and you're working day in, day out. I remember Joe Clausell coming in like over, and he was DJing somewhere like mid-90s, and you know, that was kind of like he was coming in buying stuff, and you know, it was kind of just the stuff we were giving him and what he was loving and what he was talking about kind of influenced me a bit as well. You know, it kind of opened it out to the kind of more Afro side and, you know, everything what was going on then. And so DJs, nothing really stuck apart from, you know, the obvious kind of stuff. And people we saw day in, day out, just a lot of them just become kind of friends, you know, going in the shop and seeing them on Saturdays. Saturdays was absolutely bonkers. You know what I mean? You could have like 5 or 10 people waiting outside at 9 a.m. waiting for the boxes to come in, the massive boxes, pouring them out like there's only 5 of them and all that kind of stuff, and getting them to the right people. But yeah, it was an absolute buzz for years, that just doing that. And that's, you know, still kind of got that love of vinyl from that, I suppose.
Well, Craig, that's a story that you definitely relate to. And I don't think you can tell the story too many times. You know, just tell us about your experiences in the record store as well.
It's the same sort of thing, really. I mean, slightly different to Jamie. I wanted the records that I couldn't get other than traveling to London. So I just thought, you know what, I'm going to open my own record shop, stupidly, because even, you know, Manchester, London, Birmingham, like I've said many, many times, Cardiff is the complete opposite of those cities. Were almost like a little village hall in comparison. So me spending £150,000 on a record shop, thinking that everyone in the whole of South Wales and West where the internet didn't exist. And like Jamie, it was fax orders or ordering down the line. And it was the most ridiculous thing anybody's ever heard of, really, let's be honest. HMV was selling records for 99 pence. So I used to go and buy them from HMV and then sell them in my shop.
We did the same, you know.
It was just ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? But it was because back then it was more than a lifestyle. I think for all of us, it just consumed our passion, which we all share. I think, you know, as the family that we've promoted together, we all share the passion for the music that we loved, because it wasn't the most popular style of music by any chance, was it?
No.
And it was just, we were all in the right space at the some the wrong spaces, the right place at the right time with the right people around us. And it just happened that way. Our friends would come in and feel sorry for us and buy some records just because they were like, you've been here for the last 5 days. You've got all these wonderful records. No, go on, I'll buy one and see what the fuss is all about. And then they start collecting records as well then. And then it went from really struggling with trying to find our place in the market to selling 200 copies of the Bucketheads, the Bomb, on a Saturday afternoon, because two lads from, it was a company based in Manchester called Unique Distribution. I don't know if you remember, Jay.
Yeah, no, John and Rob Wadicott.
Two amazing guys that I used to buy records off individually. They started selling them to me as an individual, not as a shop, just because they were stuff I wanted. And I would always buy 2 or 3 copies of a record because, you know, my idea behind my own personal DJing thing was, I'll be slightly different to everybody else. I'm going to bore the shit out of everybody by playing the instrumental, the dub, the remix, and the a cappella all together. Nobody else is going to do that. So I just wanted all these copies. And then these guys just started sending me, you know, like I was always gutted not to have had a shop in one of the big cities, because all I heard stories of were these vans that would turn up on a Wednesday, a Friday, and the back doors would open. There'd be boxfuls of white labels, all the American imports. I'd be like, oh my God, I wish I'd just be getting HMV daily releases, you know. But over a period of time, getting out and about and play. Sorry, my dog just bit my finger. Getting to play all these lovely places, building up these networks and meeting different people, starting to create an half-decent name for myself. And at the time then, I was, like Mark and Jamie, I was DJing with Dave Jones, you know, formidable little DJ duo. And as you know, when there's 2 of you, it gives you more opportunities, double the amount of promotion, double the amount of time you can spend doing stuff. And it started to work really, really well. And that's, you know, every single day going into that shop, whether 1 customer turned up or 100 customers, just to get that buzz of that one particular record coming through, and then ringing people saying, you're never going to believe I got 5 copies of this. And they'd be whatever, you know, making excuses in work about having meetings or having to go just to get into the shop to buy the copy of that record, you know. So
it is really difficult to try and convey that whole atmosphere at the time, and especially as you made a brilliant comment now, because the music is so accessible and you take for granted just how overground it's become, and you hear it on the adverts and you hear it on, you know, you see superstars, MK advertising driving around in a Jag or whatever it is, you know, you go back 30 years, it was unheard of, you know. Anything with a 4/4 beat, you were really excited, you felt part of that, because you didn't hear it that much. So, you know, let's not wax lyrical and so romantic about it too much. Let's get back down to some facts about the Manchester scene. You mentioned Home, Mark. Is that the same Home that was down in London at Leicester Square? Different?
It was property developer Tom Bloxham that owns a business called Urban Splash. On one of his buildings, he just decided he wanted to open a cafe bar and a nightclub. Called it Home, and we were invited to host the back room there, which for our music at the time was unreal. It was perfect. We used to do Wednesday night, a monthly Wednesday night there for a promoter and a good friend who's become a good friend of ours, Simon Calderbank. and Craig, and they used to do a night called Foundation, which was absolutely cuckoo. It was crazy. They've had things like, just think of it, they've done it. They've had like Kenny Dope playing his 45s and seeing how many hot dogs he could eat one night, apparently. They've had Barney from New Order play there, and obviously Bobby Langley played there. But it was just one of these nights, and as it evolved, it got more crazy and crazy. And we were in the back room playing there, and our sound kind of really worked in that room. It was dead small. It was long and thin, a bit like a smaller version of where Garage City used to be in Shaftesbury Avenue.
Right.
Bar
Rumba. And it just worked. And then we had a further meeting with Simon and the manager of the club, Joe Strong. And we decided to, well, they asked us, would you like to become residents? So we did. And we were given budgets to start booking DJs. And before we knew it, we were booking people like Benji Candelario, Lenny Fontana, Jazzy M, Bobby and Steve. I think the list is endless, isn't it, Jamie?
That was the kind of like the turning point a little bit to kind of really start then getting music from them DJs, because they could see it's like, you know, we want to play here again. Let's look after these boys, kind of thing. They're onto something here. You know, it's like it's still very underground. Only what kind of 200 people, 250, probably 200 people.
Yeah, and we also like people like you know, live friendships. People like Rob Apterson, Lyndon C. I mean, obviously, in later times, yourself, Andy, and Craig, and you know, we're not speak every week, but it's great that we can just pick up like this and carry on. And I think that's with the scene we've got. That's how it is, and it's nice to be in that position, really, after all these years.
So how it progressed, and then you started to spread your wings, and we will always, every week on this show, we'll always talk about the glory days of Miami. That would have been when things started to really take off. Did you, if I'm correct in assuming, you were on Galaxy just after I started in Birmingham? Is that right? Would it have been about back end of 96, 97? Or was it 98?
We were on Kiss. We were on Kiss first. We joined Kiss.
Okay.
Yeah, Kiss was in Manchester before Galaxy took over that bandwidth. So we started on Kiss and then moved over to Galaxy when it changed over.
Oh, right. Okay. So again, you know, you say it's a bit hazy. Can you put a time, because we all forget a lot more than we know, kind of thing. So just so I know myself, what kind of
Mark's just on Slammin Boys Wikipedia now, just updating it, seeing what the dates are.
So yeah, we're talking around about 97, 98.
I'd say about 97, 98, and it was weird. We'd done a guest slot for David Dunn's lunchtime show, and we got asked to come in and do fill in for someone who was possibly going to Radio 1, but they wouldn't tell us who, and it turned out to be, was it Judge Jules, Jamie?
I don't know.
Can't remember. I think it was Judge Jules anyway. We ended up slotting in for him for this one show, and from what I remember, it wasn't the best. But we still started knocking on doors, and I think we were
threatening.
Threatening. Oh, that was it. Yeah, we had a few names and numbers as we did. We got a show, and it was 3 a.m. till 4 a.m. on a Friday night, Saturday morning, and that's where it started, from the radio. Yeah, basically.
Luckily pre-recorded.
Pre-recorded, obviously.
We wouldn't have lasted a week otherwise, on the lash in Manchester and straight to the show.
It's so long ago, and as you say, so hazy. I don't think I ever came up and joined you in the studio, did I? I don't think I ever would have done one of them. Crazy. So around that time, then going over to Miami, and you were talking about some of the best parties and getting, because we were representing, or you guys were representing your sound. You were the spokespeople for the Soulful House sound in the North, and so you were synonymous. You talk about Manchester, you talk about Slammin Boys. That must be like a little badge of honor for you.
Yeah, I think Miami was ace, wasn't it? Because it was kind of like, just because we kind of got to see everybody and meet loads of new people, and you know what Miami's like. As soon as you're there, it's like, come on, charge, let's go. kind of thing. And you just found you're all in the same position and talking about music, but wanting to go out. You what?
That kind of starts at the airport. That carries on the plane, carries on when you land.
Yeah.
We went on that zoo trip, our first ever trip.
Yeah, that was it, wasn't it? Yeah.
I stayed in the Clarion Suites.
The where?
Yeah.
Was it the Clarion Suites?
Yes, it was. And the Trouble was there, and there was Andy was there. Patrick Smooth was there. You and Dave were there.
Yeah.
There was about 30 of us all staying in the same bloody place. I can remember vividly walking up Collins Avenue thinking, Jesus Christ, this is quite a bit of a mob this year, you know. There's 30 British fellas taking over South Beach.
Jamie and I went to the supermarket and come back with a trolley just full of beer. I remember Bob Povey was sat in reception, I think with Trouble, and they both just looked at us and they're like, the Manx have arrived, and we just come in with a trolley.
Come on. Up to our room, let's go.
Straight into the lift, straight into the room, and I brought the trolley back and took him back to the supermarket.
Brilliant.
Incredible times. We got Simon Gracie. You mentioned Bob. Simon Gracie says, "Oi, you pair of Northern monkeys," and also Simon Quinn with us, as is Cassandra and everybody else watching. So yeah, the journey, the progression continued then, and the sound grew. Did it ever turn into the main rooms in Manchester? Did you ever get to the dizzy heights? Did it ever get that to that point?
Did a couple of big, of course we did. We did our own parties, which turned into something like legendary, really. We also did a couple of big venues, which it
was like we did kind of Friday, Saturday stuff, didn't we? It was like kind of it just went bigger and bigger when the bar scene kicked off. I think it's when the licenses changed to 2 a.m. for bars as well. Ours was kind of the sound that it was uplifting. It wasn't the true soulful sound which we know and love. It went a little bit commercial for them bars, but you could still slot in some absolute bangers. Do you know what I mean? Where people are, oh, what's this kind of thing, and then it's like, oh, yeah, I've heard that. And Slammin Boys played it at Elemental or Berlin or these ones we were doing, and over a weekend you might have had a couple of thousand people, in bars which were, I think they were free. I can't really remember.
Depending if you had the old guest on.
Yeah, because club, I think club-wise, after home, it all went a bit naughty with the Hacienda and everything. And then the bar scene really kicked off. They had 2 a.m. licenses. And that's when kind of we found that, we could play to places like, with 400 or 500 people in. And then we did our bank holiday parties, which then we had like, Steve So Curly and all different guests where we could charge £3 or £4 in, which at that time was pretty expensive, and, to bring people into Manchester as well doing that, it was quite unique, really. Mm-hmm. So I think that just added to it, with the bar scene, with the guest DJs. It was like, what are these guys doing? Who are these lot? And people just love the sound, Like I say, it could have been that Bucketheads or CC Peniston mixed in with, some, kind of a bit more noodly stuff or a bit more Afro stuff. But it was like, oh, this has got a groove. I like this, whatever it is, kind of thing. So.
I think you summed up the era perfectly then, about the changeover, the music, some of the tracks or some of the mixes that came out. It would work perfectly, and then you would get the likes of a Jamiroquai, like a Restless Soul remix, or a Jennifer Lopez with a Joey Negro mix or something, and all of those.
And people would know it, wouldn't they?
Yeah, exactly, and that worked. That worked really well. But there must have been. You said about it being naughty. There must have been some horrible gigs as well. The commercial gigs that were just not nice at all. That we've all done them, right?
Yeah. You got to pay the bills, haven't you?
Exactly. So, some of your favourite places that you would have travelled around Europe as you started to spread your wings, where would you have got to spin?
I mean, it is Europe, but it is Middlesbrough. Do you remember the arena in Middlesbrough? not this in Middlesbrough.
What passport?
Paris or Amsterdam, but the Middlesbrough arena was unbelievable, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It was such a good club. Masses of work there, wasn't it?
Yeah, we were like residents there. We'd have 2 guests on a night with us.
Yeah, ace.
Crazy. Like I opened up one week for Kerry Chandler. The week after you were there with Spoonie, I think, and then the week after that we both opened up for Masters at Work, which was like, whoa.
Yeah, that always sticks in my memory. That of just being that. Just the rig and everything in the club. It was like a proper kind of dirty club, but kind of a big dirty club. A proper club.
Was it an old cinema? Was it an old cinema?
Yeah, I think it was.
No, that's the Empire.
Was it? No, right.
Okay, so which
Arena was kind of outside a little bit, wasn't it? It felt like it was pretty rough. Where
was that Edsy's place?
Yeah.
See, it's crazy. It all
well,
blends into
between the four of us, we'll work it out.
Yeah, welcome along, everybody, for your factual insight onto exactly what happened between 95 and 2000, because none of us have got any kind of idea. So then on the radio, it went from Kiss to Galaxy. I totally forgot all about that. Did you ever get syndicated yourselves? Did your show got...
Eventually, yeah. It kind of went on. Was that still Friday night, Saturday morning across all galaxies, and then had some kind of compilation out and everything, and then kind of like the bubble seemed to burst a little bit, didn't it, with radio and the kind of the more the DJs like us, they just wanted big stuff. People started paying big money for advertisers.
The internet was coming in, so commercial radio stations are up against it anyway, because there was so much going on starting to come about online and stuff like that. It was quite
at the time it was ace, wasn't it? Because you just got so many different gigs. It's like, oh, go and play here, go and play here. And some of them were shockers, because it was like, oh, you're on Galaxy, can you play? You're going to play all this stuff. It's like, I don't really play that. And you got there and you're like, this is a bad gig. This is going to go wrong. Have they paid?
More than enough of those.
Oh, shit.
Cy Gracie is telling us it was the Faulkners who had the Empire.
Correct.
In Middlesbrough. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But also we did some commercial tie-ins as well, with brands and stuff, and that was quite interesting.
Tenerife.
We took an aeroplane full of listeners who won a competition to Tenerife, and it was just from start to finish. That
like a Tuesday. Here's in Tenerife or something, isn't it? Yeah. How did I get away with that? I won't get away with that now.
No.
just carnage.
It was. Carnage. I think the word carnage, Andy, sums up everything within them years.
We're not talking about Russia as well. Are we talking about Canada?
Russia.
That was your fault.
He was the first one to go there and test the ground out.
That's what I think when I think Canada.
Tell me about Russia. I'm oblivious to this.
I always think about Andy Ward, Russia. That tune we played. Andy did a tune, and they all used to dance.
Which one?
Which one was it?
Can't
remember.
Give us a minute.
Give us another 10 years.
One of my records.
Yeah, one of yours, definitely.
And so tell us about Russia then. Come on, you give me half a story there.
Go on, Craig. This is your bag.
Bizarrely, why I ended up, I had somebody came to one of my nights in Cardiff, a student who ended up working for the British Council. And it was something to do with promoting British culture in Russia, obviously in the late 90s, early noughties, I think it was, wasn't it? And she was a lovely girl, and her entire remit was just simply about promoting English heritage and culture in Russia. And she had this fantastic idea of dance music was a massive thing in the UK. We're going to promote it in Russia. Now, this was a time when really not that many people had even been to Russia DJing or even gone to Russia. I remember going there with the football and being scared out of my wits with Wales, and we got barricaded in the hotel because they wanted just to kill us. Do you know what I mean? But this, God bless her, I can't remember her name. And I'm just trying to think of the name of the club now. Because I had a conversation with our friend that we all know, Lewis Radio, not so long ago. And me, him, and Quentin Harris played all at the same time. God, I can't think
What city was it?
In Moscow.
Okay.
Oh no,
the first one was Moscow.
Yeah.
So did a couple of dates, couple of people got involved, and then you boys, did you go and play in Izhevsk?
Yeah.
So this club again. This fella was at this club.
Anton.
So we were playing in Moscow. I played. It was a fantastic night. And honestly, I've never played to a club where I didn't know anybody, didn't know what the expectation was. And I just played exactly what I wanted and they loved it.
Yeah.
Anton was in the crowd. Anton was a student from the Ural Mountains, which is not far from Outer Mongolia. When you go over that side, it was about an 8-hour flight, I believe.
God, a flight. Jesus.
Was it 8 hours from Moscow?
It felt longer. It felt longer.
It felt longer because when I first went, there was about 12 feet of snow on the runway. And we were looking out, and at the time then, they had the flight. It was called Aeroflot, the airline that flew. And it was, you know, EasyJet and Ryanair. Everyone has a laugh and a joke about budget airlines and Jet2. Well, think of this as probably the poorest, shoddiest airline the world has ever produced, and then some. We had seats that were in like fours, and you had like a little bench in between that was put up. No seatbelts, and it was just, oh my God, you're looking out the window. How on earth are we going to land in that? No problem. Let's have that. And we were wading up to our waist in snow across the runway to get to the terminal. But that's another story. So Anton met me in this club, whose name I'll try and remember in a minute. And he just said to me, oh, I've got a bit of a project going on in like this place in Izhevsk. And it was like a little tour, wasn't it, that he arranged in like 4 or 5 cities on the way to this outpost in the middle of nowhere in Russia, where literally nobody spoke English at all. It was pure Russian, other than Anton, who's like the guide, the fixer, house music aficionado, absolutely loved this, salt of the earth, sorted everything out. So I went, he convinced me, well, the money and the opportunity and the travel convinced me to do it at the time. So I went for 2 weeks, much to my wife's dismay. You're out enjoying yourselves. But little did she know, I'm flying 8 hours on the most budget airline. Then you've got planes, trains, and automobiles between all these gigs. And it was planned in such a way that, you know, it was like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Then you'd have a couple of days off traveling. And then it'd be again Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or whatever it was. So I did it. And to be fair, it was really, really hard. But one of the first experiences of like how these big touring DJs probably have continued 30, like your Judge Jules doing 4 gigs a night, 4 nights a week kind of thing. For someone like me, it was, bloody hell, you know, I've got like 10 gigs in the space of 2 weeks. I'm going to earn some good money, see some cities. I did it, enjoyed it, had a great time. It was hard work. And then I think you boys were the next ones, actually. And then I think Gareth and Neil, 2 of my residents, went.
Boydie as well, didn't he? Steve Boyd went.
Yeah. Because again, it was going back to that family opportunity where we were trying to utilize our own opportunities to get ourselves further opportunities. So Anton would say to me, well, I'm looking for some good DJs like yourself, possibly a little bit better in your case, where I was, well, I could sell the dream here. These boys are on Kiss and Galaxy. Oh my God, what? I can have the Slammin boys. Yeah, there you go. So I was sort of helping out, and then Jamie and Mark come and play for us, Craig. You know, that sort of reciprocal business. Stevie Boyd in Belfast.
So let me get some stories from them on their experience then, because they're telling something must have happened with these guys.
I got to set the scene. So I've sold them this dream, right?
Okay.
That they're going to be superstars in Russia, and they're going to do a tour of some fantastic clubs in Russia. Cue Jamie and Mark.
Oh God.
Oh dear.
We had to fly. We'd been out, hadn't we? We DJ'd somewhere, and then we went via Copenhagen. Yeah, went via Copenhagen and stayed with Martin, didn't we?
Did you have to go to the embassy and get your permits and all that first, and your visas?
I remember.
All that.
Yeah, you definitely.
Because I remember I'd forgotten that I had to do it. I had to travel to London because they wouldn't post them to me and queue up outside the Russian embassy.
We didn't do that. No, I think they must have posted them.
Perhaps it was because I was Welsh and they would have been worried about me.
Yeah, yeah. Go on, Matt. I'll let you set the scene.
The DJ in Manchester on the Saturday night.
Yeah.
Remember our first year, we didn't stay at Morton's. We flew to somewhere in Germany. We changed, and then we flew into Moscow. We got in that car and we drove all the way to Tula to play in a gig.
Yeah.
And we stopped up at somebody's house randomly, and they had all the best china out and stuff. And we were just like, "What we doing, guys?"
I've been to sleep, and it's just like
we've not been to sleep now for like 24 hours.
Someone spiked me. What's going on here?
Plays this gig. And we're in this small little car. We've got vinyl boxes on our knees.
Oh, it's when the full vinyl boxes as well.
Yeah,
carrying them.
This gig.
Excess baggage.
And then goes back. Gets in the has some food, gets in the car, drives back to Moscow about 4 hours, and I can't remember. And then we get on the flying caravan. It's got round windows with these curtains, and like you said, a bench and 4 seats. It's like a picnic bench on a plane.
Picnic bench, yeah.
No seat belts, nothing. Some Russian fellas who've been drinking for about 3 years constantly on there, absolutely blottoed, fighting smoking. And everything. Yeah, smoking. It was like, oh, get me home.
And then we gets on there. Off we goes. Seemed like an eternity. It lands. We're picked up. We have this press conference thing. We get sent to the hotel. We have an hour's kit. Well, we didn't have any sleep. We had some food.
Yeah.
Special food.
Special. Yeah.
And then
the actual club. Let's set the scene of the club. It's part of a bank, a hotel, and it's all connected. And you're just like, hang on a minute, what's this here?
Hang on,
what's this? Yeah. Nobody speaks English, and there's big posters outside of you, and you're like, what is going on?
It was there was people stopping outside, and like we'd been there a couple of days. There's people stopping outside and wanting to speak to us, and you try their English, and he's like, I'm like, how do they know us? And Jamie goes, look at that. And there's a look. Our faces are in a bus stop. There's a tram going past.
Hello.
It's just like, that's how they know who we are.
But then you got in the club. Like say, I think we went for a week, didn't we?
We started on a Tuesday, Monday or a Tuesday, and it was packed on a Monday.
Yeah, absolutely bouncing
and busier.
And then they just start plying you with vodka, and before you know it, you're sat in like the little staff room or something, talking to someone in what you think's Russian, and Hoggie's like falling off the stage because he's not had any sleep and drinking vodka, rescuing something and jumping back on, and then it just went on for days. And then suddenly you're leaving, and you're just like, what was that? And then people go, I was Russia. Can't talk. I don't know. Don't know, but I'm going back.
Brilliant. Brilliant. I got similar stories that will keep for another time around that same kind of thing. So this is it. The glitz and glamour of the touring isn't as fantastic as people make out. So then you continue. At some point, you get into the studio, and the only reason I know that is because I've got a record here that you can see how dirty it is.
Yeah, wow.
The Slammin Boys, Dreams, and what's on the other side? Can you remember?
What went down? Something like that?
Oh, gotta get some.
Oh, God, yeah, jeez. Wow. I don't even know where my copy is. Our copies are.
So tell us about that the next chapter then.
Well, I started doing stuff with my cousin, Adam Moss, who's like a producer. And it was just like messing around, really. And, making loads of different tunes. And before you know it, you've kind of got something you're cutting up, some salsa stuff at the time. And we started our own label, Off the Hook Recordings, and did, put a few tunes out working with Stevie Soul, Middleton up in Glasgow.
Hold on a minute. Hold on. Off the Hook, that's your label?
Yeah.
The one with like the cartoon graphic, the fish.
Yeah, telephone thing. Yeah.
Oh my God. Is it? Did you do an Erykah Badu bootleg or something like that? Or
no, I don't think so. No.
No. I've got a few. I totally forgot that was your label. Brilliant. Carry on. Sorry.
So we just did that, put that out, and that's kind of got picked up a little bit, and people are enjoying it. And then I think what was Dunmore's label? Spectrum. Simon Dunmore defected kind of offshoot little label, Spectrum, I think it was, where he started putting all his disco stuff out.
Oh yeah.
And I think they'd done a version, and he wanted this version as well. And then just it kind of just like, offered us some money. It's like, what? Brilliant. It wasn't a lot of money, but it was a lot of money, for us, kind of thing. And I think did John Julius Knight do a remix of it?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. And he went on a few compilations, and it was great, but we weren't producers. We weren't like, right, this is us, let's make hit records. It was just, it's just a tool, really, to kind of play and, have something yourself. And then, it worked. We didn't really do much else. We did a few remixes and bits and bobs, but it wasn't that kind of focus of going forward. But yeah, that tune's still a banger. Really, it's a good one.
Most
So,
definitely.
yeah.
Most definitely.
Yeah,
I only
good.
coincidentally I came across it in the racks about 3 weeks ago, and I thought, yeah, I'll put that to one side, and I'll remember to talk to the guys about it.
Yeah.
And it's a fantastic record. That, you know, I think you've underplayed that a little bit, considering where we were and what we were doing, and how unprepared a lot of us were for being in the studio and doing that kind of thing. That was an absolute banger. And I think if somebody else's name had been attached to one of the biggest producers, it would have been even bigger. You know, and I don't mean that disrespectfully. We were all playing that, every single one of us, as often as we could, because it was such a great sample, such really well produced and put together. So I think you've underplayed the importance of that record, because I think, for me especially, it was one of the biggest records to me that I can remember, to be brutally honest.
Yeah, lovely.
Well, there you go. That's high
Thank
praise
you,
indeed.
Yeah.
And also yourself, Craig. I always mention it to you every time I come across it in the racks. That the track that you did, I'm sure you did one or two. Chase, Summer Breeze.
Chase, featuring Dan Tyson, Feeling Fine. Yeah, one of them.
Was it the Summer Breeze as
Summer Breeze? Yeah, the first Summer Breeze sample, signed by Dancing Danny D.
Okay.
Double pack. My didn't go anywhere other than Release the Groove Records. I don't think it didn't go anywhere.
Well, I love it anyway.
Yeah, but for me, I don't know about you boys. You've made more records than me. At the time, I was a very, very young father. My daughter was just born, so that whole concept of spending time in the studio, I'm not ADHD, but I'm very satisfied with results very, very quickly. So that whole process of sitting in the studio, you know what I'm getting.
Yeah,
of
going over the same drum sample and everything.
And I was just like,
times.
Do you know what? We got to get this finished. I cannot listen to that same 4-bar loop.
It used to feel like torture sometimes.
Yeah,
you heard something so many times. It's like, just be done with it. Get it out.
Yeah, and kudos to you guys that sort of stuck with that, because it was one thing that I wished, if I could reset and have another go or something, I think that would be it. Becoming patient and learning how to do a bit more and be patient in the studio, because I was always frustrated that, because I didn't really know what I was doing, I was always reliant on other people to try and get what was in my head out.
Yeah.
And it just took so bloody long. So kudos, especially, this song for Shamo, again, signed to Masters of Work. How amazing was that as a producer?
I was out to do that. That was Jamie and Adam.
So fair play to you all. I think the records that you achieved, and Andy, and a lot of our lot that have gone on to, and we'll speak about in weeks coming up. Yeah. We contributed more than just having a bit of fun and having some shit with gigs.
Without that. Well, Bobby's commenting.
The scene.
Bobby's commenting, saying "wicked tune." I'm assuming he's talking about the Dreams. Some of the records that I'm pulling off the racks on my weekly show that Bob's had a hand in. You forget.
Oh, yeah.
It's easy to forget how long the guys have been putting out these amazing tracks, because it just and I joke about it a lot. I've forgotten more than I know. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's good for stuff like this, because it does. Stuff comes flooding back. Not all of it, but you kind of do forget. I forgot all about like records and things, and being involved in that, because it's so long ago. But it's probably only like 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. There's so much happened in the last 24 hours, which I forgot about.
Well, we will actually talk about some of your current escapades with both of you, things that you got going on. Other guys that eventually we will get around to talking to. I know they're good friends of yours. For example, Groove Assassin, Audio Whores. They were quite integral part of Up North as well, weren't they? Around that same era.
Yeah. Adam DJs for me now at Funkademia, playing his disco funk stuff, which he did kind of start on his own out in the sticks, which again was the other club just out of Manchester with Russ and Craig. But yeah, Groove Assassin smashing it. Always nice to catch up with them as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Adam lives around the corner from me now. So.
Well, again, mention those names, and you just have to say like Carnage. Some of the times I think about Adam and Graham and Sam as well in Miami, being sat at the end of I don't even want to think about some of the videos that they've got. The states I was in, you know, it's a good old time. So tell us a little bit more then towards the back, because we always get to this point when we're talking. Craig and I have done quite a few of these now, where the scene started to lose a little bit of its shimmer. The sound changed, the bars. It was difficult to even, you know, get the gigs in the bars. For us down south in the Midlands as well, was it the same for up there? Did it all start to go a little bit wrong in Manchester?
Yeah, I can't kind of pinpoint that time. I presume, like, you know, the radio show, you kind of go bigger and bigger. You're getting gigs everywhere. Then suddenly you're axed. You know, I sometimes think about that when, you know, people like Dev leaves Radio 1, and you kind of like, what are you doing? Where are you going? You know, because you've been there in such a smaller scale. But, you know, you kind of think, they're not on Galaxy anymore. They must be rubbish, kind of thing. You know, you can still generate your own gigs and do your own gigs, and you still do that. But I'm sure that was a moment where it's like, oh, what have we done wrong? You know, what's going on? Yeah.
Was that how it felt when you got axed? Talk us through, if you don't mind. I don't know if it's a dark time or what, but I think it'd be an interesting look at how you actually felt when were you called into the office? Sorry, or were you just sorry, lads? We're changing the programming, or how did that work out?
They were off. If I remember right, they were going to offer us a little something else, but they were taking us from the network slot we had, and they were putting such and such a body in. You know,
you could feel it was changing. You know, it was going kind of commercial, and I think with radio, you know, I've seen other people who are now working in radio, and it's like, you know, you're always looking over your shoulder. You know, you're not there for the long haul unless you're Pete Tong. You know, you're there just as you are and enjoy it. You know,
and to be fair, we did. Yeah. And to be fair, we did.
How long were you on the radio for?
9.5 years.
9.5. I mean, that's a long time, innit? That is a long time.
It is, especially
every single week. Yeah, it's a long time. You just
because Parky got syndicated. Then the Dream Team came along around the same time as Sanchez was syndicated as well. So that was around about that time. I
think it was the Sanchez thing actually, wasn't it? Yeah, I remember that coming in and kind of taking some kind of slot. They changed it all overnight and everything. And you kind of thought, you know, it was like they need bigger names. You know, bigger names equals bigger advertising spend. Yeah. You know, that's simple as that, really.
And without trying to sound like a cop out, we had our own lives to lead as well. You know, I was holding down a full-time job. Jamie was. I had a young child. I was going through some personal things that was, you know, so the timing, to be fair for me, and I think for Jamie, was probably good. And they were trying to offer us something, and we kind of just went on our own terms. We said we'll do it for another month. We went in, did the last show, and kind of went bye.
And I don't think, you know, it wasn't kind of like I can't talk about you guys. I can talk about myself. It wasn't exactly life-changing money you were losing, was it?
Not really.
No, I think it's like 2 and 6 a show on it, whatever that is. But I'm sure it wasn't a lot. It was like 15, 30 quid or something on it. It was. I remember putting invoices in at the end of the month and going, "What?
Yeah,
what was that?" Do you know what I mean? But it wasn't about that. You would have done it for free anyway.
Well, I remember going to Miami. I remember going to Miami one of the years. We'd already decided that we were coming over to Spain, so we'd already bought this house, and I was thinking, how am I going to go in? And, you know, I've got to tell them at some point that I'm leaving. And then we went to Miami, and then I rang the guy and said, when I come back, I've got this, I want to do another Miami special. I'm going to be doing loads of live interviews and everything. He said, well, actually, Andy, I'm glad that you've rang me because you haven't got another show. And I was like, well, can I do, you know, when's my last one then? So I can say goodbye to everybody. And they said, oh no, that's it. It's over. So I didn't even get a chance to do a final show and say goodbye to everyone. And I was gutted. And that was the beginning of my kind of foray into the online forums and things like that, because someone sent me a message, I can't even remember where it was, an email, and they said, oh, it's really kicking off on the God's Kitchen forum, everyone's going mental that you've lost your radio show. There was probably about 4 people saying, oh, it's a shame Andy's gone, isn't it? And that's when
3.
Well, I guess. So that was then I started reading the God's Kitchen forum, then I found out about like the Faris forum, the Defected forum, you know, so that was...
hang on a minute now. So you guys, both of you, I would say, were the biggest radio shows syndicated in our, other than Bobby and Steve, Paul Trouble Anderson, who we can all agree with next level. what sort of figures are we talking about? So the people, anyone that's daft enough to be watching us, what reach are we talking about now? So people can get to grips to what your audience was on a Friday, Saturday night, and yours, and because you haven't really tapped into that.
No, I couldn't put a figure on it myself, but on my Biog back in the day, I used to get radar figures, and it used to be sort of like a bragging rights of mine that I used to have more people listening to my show in the Midlands than listen to Pete Tongue on a Friday.
There you go.
You know.
Yeah.
Good, fantastic, and
Delhi G pops up like that. So Delhi's going to be on in a few weeks as well. That man can tell us about radio. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, he can talk all about radio, can he?
You carry on.
Again, he was on Galaxy and still doing the touch.
Exactly. So carry on, guys. You saying about your figures. You saying about your figures in Manchester. Sorry.
Yeah, it was only in the millions each week. I'm not too sure really.
Not
Not a clue. Not a clue. But I think we were always happy with people just knowing and listening and writing in whatever they did them days. Was it email? It must have been email, wasn't it?
Yeah. Postcards.
Yeah, postcards. Yeah, back of a stone, throw it through the window.
And the phone in the studio with the light that flashed when they used to ring up. Good old days. Good old days. Yeah. Well, time is racing on, and I'm a little bit concerned because Jamie said I haven't eaten yet. I need to get some food. So we started talking about how life changed for you, and you moved away off the radio. Was there a point where you both hung up the headphones totally for a little while? I know I know Mark especially. You were busy doing your residency at the Pen and Pencil, weren't you, for many years?
I'm still doing the odd gigs around Manchester, a residency at the Living Room and other bits and bats here, there and everywhere. But for the last 5 years, I've been at Pennant for 5 years. It'll be. You forget last year, don't you? Don't count that. But 5 years now.
It's a fallow year last year.
Yeah, we had a year off.
I don't know what I did after Galaxy. I don't know what year was that.
Yeah, we kind of still did a few more gigs, and then I think
probably 2003, 2004.
Oh, we were still involved in the Bacardi B bar stuff for all the
and Angel Delight as well. We've not really mentioned, have we?
Angel Delight.
Angel Delight was a big one on a Friday, so I think that was kind of after Galaxy a little bit because I then opened my own record shop, Blue Vinyl, which came just about before all the digital stuff happened, and we were obviously way too slow to get on the digital stuff, and that kind of killed that within about a year. But we had some cracking records, loads of good records.
Quite a bit from you, Jim.
Yeah. No, it was good, Blue Vinyl. But yeah, and then I think I started getting involved in Funkademia a little bit from that. That would have been kind of 12. That would have been 2008 though, wasn't it? Something like that. 2008, I think. So. But yeah, I've kind of hung up my headphones, I think, now. Mm-hmm. I think after that, I'd roll them out a little bit when I had the 2022 NQ, which was like the bar I had in Northern Quarter. We did a few kind of slamming parties. We had Kenny Dope on and CJ played. Who else, Mark?
DJ Spen.
Yeah, Spen played. So we did some kind of one-off parties every 3 months or something. And, sold them out because everyone was still gagging for it. I don't think you could have done it any more regular for stuff like that. It was a special occasion. It was a New Year's Eve kind of thing of, people will get a babysitter and come out for it. So I think I got a bit busy with that, really, after the radio, and then got into Funkademia, which is what I'm still doing now, really. So.
Okay, so alongside the Funkademia, you're also very busy with Skiddle as well. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, I've been with Skiddle about 12 years, so kind of head of marketing over there with a big team, and obviously last year was a bit of a tough one. But yeah, strength to strength, really. Kind of a huge ticketing site now, loads of big festivals and everything. And yeah, kind of like just customer first. We can really kind of put ourselves at customer first. You can get on the phone, and ticketing business is pretty hard, really. You know what I mean? Generally, there's a lot of competitors, a lot of money flying around for the big festivals. But yeah, we're doing really well. So yeah, offices in London and Manchester and Liverpool now. So yeah, kind of running that. So yeah, as well as Funkademia, got a brewery, opened that. And from Skiddle as well, we've got a festival in Lancaster called Highest Point, which came about from doing gigs in a disused prison in Lancaster. So we had like Derek Carter up there and loads of like drum and bass nights and everything and all sorts with my mate Chris, who's sadly not with us anymore, and Richie on Skiddle. And then that turned into an annual festival somehow. And this year, 10,000 people. So
I don't know about you, Craig. Well, actually, I'm the only one here who hasn't got a proper job, but you all make me sick to the back teeth, sitting here reflecting on my life, crying into my cornflakes. Fair play, man.
But you are in Spain, Andy. Come on.
You are in Spain.
Yeah, I guess.
And you can deal with the heat.
Yeah. We were talking about that earlier. And Mark, yourself, now, what is it that's been keeping you occupied these last few years?
Well, the last couple of days back into things, touch wood, I did an open air event on last Tuesday, which DJ Bartlett is curated in Manchester, called Home Ground, which was really good. And then Jamie invited me to play at Funkademia on Saturday night, which was on a roof terrace at the top of a bar in Manchester, which was fantastic just to have people back in front of you, engaging. Just great. And then I start pen and pencil. Hopefully, fingers crossed, in the next couple of weeks. It's penciled in for the 26th, I think.
Pen and penciled in for the 26th.
Every couple of weeks down there. Bab got a couple of other things, bits and bats.
But is there a 9 to 5 now?
Yeah, I've always done 9 to 5, mate. Always.
What is that then?
So I work for a large retail outlet now. Not going to mention who they are.
Why? So we don't all blag and try and get loads of stuff up. Yeah,
you don't want anything from there, mate. Trust me.
No, but it's all good. Well, I mean, we've really skirted around so much. We've barely scratched the surface on so many stories. And I guarantee that when you come off here, you're gonna be kicking yourself. And I will apologise to many people who you will have forgot to mention afterwards, because they'll be going, I never said that, because it happens, right? I guarantee you're going to go away and you're going to think, shit, I didn't talk about that. And Craig and I would be more than happy to sit here talking all evening if it wasn't for Jamie saying, I've got to get up.
I've got to go at 8 o'clock.
I've got to go.
Before I forget, Propaganda was the name of the club in Moscow that spawned all our wonderful trips to Russia.
Propaganda. We actually we seen a flyer for that when we were there.
I think we went somewhere in Moscow, didn't we? They took us somewhere in Moscow.
Took us somewhere in Moscow, but we took DJ magazine out there, music magazine.
Music magazine with Simon Morrison, and the photographer in a red square just got marched off. Kind of thing. He was taking pictures, and it's like, what are you doing? You can't do that. It was loads of moments like that. It was absolutely mental.
And then we also went on the fun fair where you had to pedal yourself up the Big Dipper.
Top times. Yeah,
and the time in Miami where, Mark, you rescued my wife, who was quite inebriated. I don't know if you remember it.
I do.
Do you remember in the Opium Gardens when we were after the work party, stood by the sidebar? She just bought these brand new Gucci sunglasses. We're talking 98, I think it was. 1998. She's gone, legs akimbo.
Right into the trees.
Right into the trees, feet above her head, sunglasses go flying off. I'm dealing with her. Oh my God, what are you doing? Mark, not all superheroes wear capes. Breezes straight past. There's your sunglasses, Ellen. Crack on, as a good girl. And off we walked into the sunset. And she's just, how did that happen? I don't even know that. You just drunk $400 worth of sex on the beach.
I'm surprised he didn't just turn around and walk into a tree rather than the sunset.
Yeah, that'd have been a comedy moment, wouldn't it? Tree.
Yeah, bang. Proper
into the bar.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, look, guys, we'll sit here and we'll definitely do this again. You'd be happy to come back and do it again.
Thanks for having us, Andy, Craig.
It's been a pleasure. Every time I've done one of these, and this is the third or fourth one, every time I finish, like Andy said, I remember and I start recounting stories. I'm thinking, I wish I'd said about, but it's the smile on my face.
Yeah.
Just through the conversation. And like you pointed out, Matt, we haven't seen each other properly for, it's got to be the best part of 10 to 15 years.
Yeah.
And when we start talking, initially you start thinking, I feel a little bit nervous. I can't remember. I don't want to be. But it just starts flowing, and it's just like we've been in the same room 30 years ago, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's amazing to see you looking so well, both of you.
Thank you. And
You too,
you
guys.
as well.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Well done, guys. And I'll be in touch, and we'll definitely do something again. Yes, Mark?
What's for tea, Jamie?
Some kind of cod thing. I don't know. Some crispy skinned sea bass with salsa verde.
I end for a Tuesday night, that.
Wow.
That's
Like a weekend treat.
Yeah, and I'm not making it. Makes a change. Oh, I hope she's not watching.
Right, okay. I'm gonna do what I always do. I'm gonna press this button and it's gonna kick you guys out. So respect, yeah. Love you guys.
Thanks for listening. Tuning in.
Cheers,
See you soon, lads.
Speak to you later.
Bye-bye.
Speak later.
Craig. Thank you. See you later, Jamie.
And there they go, the boys. Just a quick one tonight. Always aware of keeping the gentlemen from their busy lives. Always keen to point out again and again that we're doing our very best to shine the light on people who I personally and those around us believe are the unsung heroes of the Soulful House movement, and those three gentlemen there most definitely I put at the top of my list. So thank you to Mark and Jamie, and of course a big shout out to Craig as one of the regular panelists alongside Lee Wright, and we'll get Mark Wilkinson on with us sometime in the future when he finishes his book club. If you take a look here on the screen now, we have got coming up in 2 weeks time. Quick maths tells me that it is the 22nd of June. Mr. Gary Dillon and Seamus Haji, two names who will be known without a shadow of a doubt by every music person up and down the country, all around the globe. And they're going to be telling us all about London record stores and amongst many other things as well, I guarantee. So 2 weeks time, 15th, 22nd, Tuesday the 22nd, do be here. Thank you to you guys for being with me live. Shouts out to Bob, still with us till the end, and to Cassandra, making it a regular. Thank you. I really do appreciate it. Also to Delhi G, we've got a date for Delhi. I think it's probably 4 weeks or so. Really excited to talk to Delhi. He is, without a doubt, one of the Don Dadas of the Soulful House Mafia. And he's got stories for days, you know that. You yourself watching on the recording, thank you for being here. And that is it for now. Tim, hi Tim, I didn't realise you were watching, so a big shout. Actually, I've got a list of the people here who have been liking and following the page throughout the course of the last few days. Matt Roby, Alex, hi Alex, thank you for liking the video earlier. Colin Williams passed through and became a fan of the page, as did Wayne Hunter, Lady Pereira, hi Jackie, Joey Gill, Gaynor Franklin, Mickey C and Yvonne Chukwuma. Forgive me if I've slaughtered your surname there. Thank you everybody. Enjoy the rest of Tuesday evening or whatever day it is when you're watching this recording, and I'll catch you online sometime soon. Thank you very much.